Hi everyone, welcome back here to our channel. I'm Jonathan, an attorney here in the Cape Town area. This is the third and final video in a series where we're looking at ways that we can resolve disputes quicker and cheaper, and in particular how we can do that by incorporating choice of forum clauses into our contracts. Now, before we dive into it, guys, there's a matter I would like your opinion on. If you notice that I'm wearing a tie for the first time, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind in the comment section just letting me know, tie or no tie, guys. Just type in the comment section, tie or no tie. And I'll take your advice and I'll keep it in mind for next week's video. Thank you so much. Now, on a more serious note, I just want to share my screen with you quickly so we can look at a few important slides together. So in week one, we looked at a basic definition of a choice of forum clause. And we also looked at one example in the form of a mediation clause. Then in week two, we looked at another example in the form of an arbitration clause. And today, we will look at a final example in the form of a jurisdiction clause. Now, a jurisdiction clause is a clause in a contract whereby the parties decide which court will hear a dispute if a dispute arises between them. Now, the example you see on the screen makes provision for the Western Cape High Court in Cape Town to hear any dispute which may arise between the parties. Now, to understand how jurisdiction clauses can help us save time and money, I think it's best if we look at it from a global perspective. If we look at courts all over the world and we compare them, we'll find that some courts work better than others. Why? Because they are situated in countries with much better legal systems, well-developed legal systems. And if in countries where the legal system is well developed, the courts also tend to work well. Things go much smoother. There's much more efficiency, no unnecessary delays. It's like a dream to litigate in courts like that. Then in other countries that's perhaps not so developed, oftentimes the legal systems, they are also not well developed. And because of that, the courts, they don't work so well. It can be a real frustration dealing with courts like that. I remember once I had a case in a court like that where, it's as bad where there's a hearing date and you don't know if the judge will show or not because something happened. That's how bad it can get. So when you're doing business in a global context, we must keep in mind that we might contract with someone or part or company in a country where the legal system is not as developed as it is in South Africa. And therefore, there's a risk that if a dispute arises, that dispute may have to be resolved through a court that doesn't work as well as the South African courts. Now, in order to avoid that situation, a clause like this will be tremendously helpful because it would mean whenever a dispute arises, that dispute will need to be resolved in the Western Cape High Court here in Cape Town, South Africa. Now, that's one way as to how a jurisdiction clause can really make a big impact when it comes to saving time and money when resolving disputes. Another factor to consider is obviously the cost of foreign lawyers. Let's say you are a South African-based company and you do have a contract with someone based in New York in the United States. Now, if something goes wrong and there's a dispute, chances are that that dispute will have to be resolved in the New York courts. And if that happens, you as the South African entity would need to seek the assistance also of attorneys in New York that can guide you with the legal process in New York. Now, obviously, that will come at a big expense to you because those attorneys in New York will charge you a US dollar rate. Now, that very same situation, if in the underlying contract between you and the party in New York, there was a clause like this, you would have avoided that whole scenario. Instead, they would need to pack up and bring everything, bring their legal team here so that the dispute, whatever dispute may have arisen between you, can be resolved here in the South African courts in your own backyard. Now, that's another way where jurisdiction clauses can be a huge game changer when it comes to litigating on the global scale. Yeah, that's our series really on choice of forum clauses. I just want to stop my share screen. I hope they've been useful, and I hope you can see how mediation, arbitrations, and jurisdiction clauses can have a real impact when it comes to saving time and money with resolving disputes. Thank you so much for watching. Next week we will have a look at where to take your money claim here in South Africa. So please stay tuned for that. And before I sign off, guys, remember tie or no tie in the comments. I'll see you next week. Cheers for now. Thank you.